So I wanted to have a discussion about weight loss and mood because one of the things that I encountered when I was losing weight and also exercising was that my mood was improving. Now, I have seen a few studies in terms of does losing weight improve your depression, anxiety, in general mood? While I would say that it does a little, there's a large number of studies that say that actually no, at the end of the day, you being thinner, smaller, it doesn't. But I wanted to explore a little bit the fact that what exercise brings to the table in terms of mood. Plus, I also wanted to add about what happens, the mechanics of how you are changing your life, how that by default, because causation doesn't equal, like, it doesn't, an event doesn't necessarily cause the something else to happen. But what I wanted to explore is how changing your life can improve on your mood. So now, in terms of me, my name is Jessica. I have conversations about weight loss, weight related disease education, and how to achieve weight loss in an affordable way that honors our way of living. I am an RN, but I also have lost 100 pounds in 5 years. So now, I did was browsing over a study that was by Sarwer and Poloski, and they did a study in 2016 talking about the psychosocial burden of obesity. It was really inherently talking about the fact that when you are in this fear of being uncomfortable and being having these issues in terms of you are to the point where your weight is a burden to you. They say that there's emotional distress likely to play a role in treatment seeking, because of course you can't get out of that wheel of depression or anxiety and mood issues and then going into engaging fully into a weight loss treatment, right? Now I do want to point out that I absolutely was in that category, well, where my body had so much weight on it that everything, including me getting up and getting myself something, was a burden. Why? Because I was carrying weight that my particular body couldn't sustain. Now, I mean, I think that that's an individual thing. Some people can carry more than 100 or 200 or 300 more pounds and perfectly move their body. But for me, that wasn't the case. What it was happening was that because my heart rate was so high, my blood pressure was so high, I couldn't engage in my life, including conversations with others, work, getting in and out of a car because I was a visiting nurse. It was a burden, so much so that it was actually chipping away at my life. So I had to make a decision. It was either survive, continue to be in this manner for the rest of my life, and I was only in my 40s, and or I was going to live a different life, and that's what I chose. So slowly I started changing my life. I do have other videos that do talk more detail about that, but I wanted to bring some more insight into the mood. And so at some point you have to override obviously your mood, but that is not it. And if I'm going to be kind, I have to also say that that is a very hard thing to do, right? Like I had to I have to involve myself in facing the elephant in the room. What does that mean? Well, I did have to go to therapy. I did have to engage in the uncomfortable. I had to backtrack and say, things need to change for me. I needed to engage every day. I needed to get up and work out. I needed to engage in the way I was eating. I needed to engage back at work. I needed to say I am present in the moment. And that takes lots of work. Again, I'm not going to go into it, but what it does is that what mood does, it just is an addendum to the continuous issues that we begin to obtain as a result of being overweight or obese. For me, I was in the obese category for obvious reasons. I was over 270 pounds. I believe that the 270 pounds was my last weigh-in. Then after that, I didn't want the doctor to weigh me because that was completely and absolutely embarrassing for me. But at 5'9". Now I don't want to, because I do see that some people might not think that that's very big. It's very big for me in terms of what was happening to my body, my mood, what I was being presented with. In my early 40s, I was being presented with pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart issues, meaning that my heart rate was really, really high. Even though my familial heart rate and blood pressure, it's typically lower. So for example, if I am consistently on 80 beats per minute, that is actually very troubling, seeing as my grandparents, my father, and as inherit all my cousins and everyone, they sit on much lower blood beats per minute, and blood pressure is also lower. So you have to take into perspective how you are presenting as a person. So that this doesn't mean that some people that are sitting in a higher weight are not necessarily living qualitative lives. What I am proposing is that the fact that you carry extra weight that your particular body can't sustain can affect your mood in such a way that it affects the way you conduct your life. And as such, if it does, you have to have the hard conversation with yourself about what it is that you want to do with your life, and not only that, change it, even though it's super hard and it might seem impossible. But when it comes to mood, and I am not opposed to someone having medication and therapy and all that, because that's what happened to me. I didn't go into medication, but I actually chose therapy and having conversations with with a social worker about where I was, and it did help. It did help my BINGE. It helped in terms of how I was approaching life and how I was looking at life. And in turn, it helped me also figure out that not weight loss does not occur just in your body. It actually occurs in your head. You have to sort of approach it as it took me 40 years to get to where I am. It's gonna have to take me however it's gonna take for me to go back or go to a place where I want to be, which I'm happy to say that everything is a process. You don't get all of a sudden, because you're smaller, get all insight into how wonderful your life is. So take it with a grain of salt, but yes, I think that inherently you don't, your mood doesn't change. And one of the things I'm going to even propose is the fact that, that me being thinner doesn't mean that all of a sudden I am, all my worries are gone. What I do propose is that therapy and actually getting tools to be able to confront the uncomfortable and be able to self soothe or be able to approach life differently does give you that that aspect of happiness, or rather contentment in terms of how you deal with others. And that is the piece that I think is important in terms of how to manage your mood when you are trying to have or trying to approach weight loss. And while it won't, while you being thin doesn't give you any other happiness, the tools that you acquire while searching for a weight loss journey can help you find satisfaction and ultimately happiness with where you are at and not what to achieve. I hope you enjoyed this chat, and I wish you health and happiness, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one.